Welcome to the FreeThem CEO podcast. It's about becoming the chief decision maker over your life in order to step into a life of freedom. From business, health, wealth, charity, and giving back to just doing life on your own terms. I am your host, Shae Invidiata. I am an award-winning activist, change maker, and a multifaceted impact entrepreneur with over a decade of experience in business, philanthropy, and health and wellness. In this space, I'm going to be bringing you insights, not just from me, but from incredible thought leaders around the globe to help you start making decisions towards living a life of freedom so you can live a life you love. Are you ready, guys? Because we are going all in. On my last episode, I sat down with Dana Shalit, who is a clinical certified hypnotherapist, spiritual facilitator, and entrepreneur. If you haven't listened to that episode, I would encourage you to go check it out. It is all around limiting beliefs. And after Dana and I spoke, it really reminded me of my own story around my own limiting beliefs. And I thought that I would unpack some of my journey that has led me from living in Toronto to moving to Costa Rica. And Dana played a little role in that. So go check that out. By the time I was 25, I had lived in Hawaii for 3.5 years, Vancouver, British Columbia for 3 years, and Sydney, Australia for just under a year. My university education had brought me to each of these places. And now I was around 27, 28 years old, and I'd been living back in Toronto for a few years, and I didn't like it at all. For basically 7 years, I'd grown accustomed to a regular life involving being close to the ocean, spending leisure time at the beach, gathering with friends and going out in a warm climate, and having the mountains always surrounding me. This was a life I fell in love with. And you might be listening to this going, well, Shae, that must be nice. That's not reality. We all cannot live like that. And as I was standing in my dad's office one day, crying my eyes out, he was kind of saying the same thing to me, but in different words. My dad said to me, plan your vacations first. Always plan the things that you want to do, that you love to do, that bring you joy. And then fill your schedule with the rest of life's priorities and also necessities, the things that are in the day in and day out that need to get done. This is a discipline I still do to this day, actually. If you are waiting for time to become more available in order to do the things that bring you joy, there's a strong chance you will be waiting forever. I often say, own your calendar, do not let it run you. Part of living a life you love is being intentional with your time, meaning you create your life by design. I didn't want to live a life that I needed to take a vacation from, to go to a vibrant place that I loved, the environment to be in, to only be there for 2 to 4 weeks out of the year, throughout the year. I wanted to live an environment that excited me, that I wanted to wake up to every morning, and then do the reverse, go visit the place that I didn't love to live in for those 2 to 4 weeks out of the year, throughout the year. It's not that my dad came out and said to me that what I wanted was unrealistic, but it was a subtle way of kind of saying just that. Work smart, plan out what you want to do, and then go enjoy the fruits of your labor. Except what I wanted was not the quote unquote accepted way of life that many of us are told is available to us. And I just had this different vision for my life. I had a big plan to move to California before my 30th birthday or by my 30th birthday, which was in 2014. My birthday is in December, and a few months prior to that, life threw me a massive, painful curveball in my life that changed all of my plans, literally turned my world upside down. At the same time, simultaneously, I have a nonprofit organization called FreeThem. And at that time, it was really starting to make great strides in our country. I had founded it in 2010, and we had worked for many years to get to this point, putting on different huge fundraisers and events. At this time, we were already a stakeholder to the federal, provincial, and municipal governments in Canada. I found myself frequently in Ottawa, whether it was to give and participate in the press statement for a new piece of legislation that had just received royal assent, which means becoming federal legislation, federal law in our government for bills that we were a stakeholder to going to Ottawa to hear the tabling of a new bill that we were presenting and we were a part of in the House of Commons with members of Parliament that we had worked with. I was speaking in schools and universities and constantly appearing on national television to educate on the horrific issue of human trafficking. With all of this going on, I felt obligated to stay and put my dreams and vision for my life at 30 years old on hold for the sake of my family and also my dedicated team at FreeThem. 3 years later, still stuck in the thick of the chaos that was happening in my life, I found myself again crying to my father that I'm going to blink and be 40 and look back and say, what did I do with my life and who did I do it for? Many of us are told, are conditioned, whether it's from a system or the people around us, family, friends, that you cannot have it all, that dreams are called dreams for a reason. And the reality is what you want in your life, only a few are really able to obtain it. And we get sometimes stuck in this mediocrity of thinking life is supposed to be the 9 to 5, get a decent job, go home after work, have a meal, some maybe put on a TV, relax, unwind, wake up, repeat, and do it all over again. And I didn't want to subscribe to that. I didn't buy that. And I really believed that my dreams could become my reality and that your reality is really what you create it to be. Here's the danger with our thoughts. Our thoughts become our beliefs, and what we believe we create, and what you create, you live out. And it's why often I will say, if you can change your thoughts, you are able to change your life. And here's the thing, you're actually not your thoughts, but your thoughts do shape your beliefs. So it's paramount that we are aware, that we are conscious of not just what we're thinking, but how we're thinking to ourselves, because it shapes our future and our reality. And the incredible news is that we absolutely have the power and the ability to change our thoughts, and therefore we have the ability to change our life and how we are living it. We all have limiting beliefs that are holding us back from stepping into our full potential and living a life we deserve. And once we recognize these limiting beliefs, these negative narratives that do not serve us, that don't support our higher self, we can begin to untrain and undo these thoughts and patterns of our thoughts to start actually heading our thinking into a completely different direction. And in my episode with Dana Shalit, we actually dive into these 5 limiting beliefs that could be holding you back from living the life you want. I really encourage you to check out that episode if you haven't already. There's a lot of gold nuggets in that. And when I was thinking about my life at 37 years old, I had this pivotal moment as I was actually looking at Dana. At the time, she was in Costa Rica and decided that she was what was supposed to be a 2-week vacation, ended up, she stayed. It turned into a few weeks later, turned into some months, that then turned into a year, and Dana still resides in Costa Rica today. But at the time, I was watching Dana sharing that she was going to extend her trip, and her trip was no longer going to become a trip, but it actually was transforming into a new place she was going to live. And I remember looking at her Instagram post and saying, gosh, she's so lucky. I wish I could be doing that. And the irony was, I was actually already in Costa Rica earlier that year to look at properties to move to. That was part of my plan. There was a lot of things happening in 2020, moving into 2021, that not only did I not agree with, but it did not resonate with me. And for me, knowing what was coming down the pipeline, I didn't want to be living like that. And I wanted to have a plan B. I wanted to have an escape plan. But in that moment and in that time, I was not thinking, yeah, I'm going to literally leave everything behind in Canada and I'm going to come move here. And so when I watched how she just decided 2 weeks was going to be extended and then that extension was going to become life, it hit me as I was saying this thought, she's so lucky. I said to myself, Shae, the only difference between you and Dana is that she has made different decisions than me. And it was up to me to decide if I wanted that path. And if I did, I am able to take it. I just now have to start taking aligned action to put me in the direction that I'm wanting to go, to be living the life that I want. Many of us have this tendency, right? Like, can you feel me on this? Can you relate where you can look at somebody else's life and say, I wish I had that life. I wish I could be doing that. I wish I was living there. I wish I looked as good as him or her. I wish I made as much money. Whatever your sentence is, you can finish that. I wish that you fill in the blank. And I'm here to tell you there is no reason why you cannot have that, whatever your that is. And you are worthy of it as well. But many of us get in our own way, right? We get in our own way. We make excuses for why we cannot have what we want or live our life the way we want, rather than focusing on the how. How can I make this happen? And I encourage you, look at your life right now. What circumstance, career, relationship, financial situation, location maybe, would you want differently? And rather than making excuses, decide that this is going to be the year that you actually start to make it happen. Don't let the excuses hold you down. Don't let the excuses pull you back, but rather start focusing on that how. Once you make that decision, this is the first step towards changing the outcome and ultimately your life. Many of us believe it's not available to us, or we don't deserve it, or that it could come at an expense. You absolutely do deserve it. And this is where your thoughts shape your beliefs. And it is so paramount to be going back to how we're thinking, how we're talking to ourselves. Is there sacrifice along the way? Absolutely. And I'm going to come back to that. But so many of us really comes down to choosing to live in mediocrity and not stepping into our passions. Sometimes it's also because of somebody, something that is holding us back. And then we believe these lies that we have told ourselves. You can't make it happen. It won't work out. I don't have enough. Again, you can fill in the blank. I don't have enough time, money, connections, resources. Maybe you think you'll mess it up. Maybe you're afraid of failure. For me, at the time, I was 37 and I'm seeing 40 on the horizon. And I'm recalling standing in my father's office in my early 30s going, I'm going to blink and be 40. And again, as I shared with you, I'm going to look back and go, why did I choose to keep living this life that I'm not truly in love with? And don't get me wrong, I have a great life. I have a lot of blessings in my life, but I wasn't living in such a way that really lit me up, that really brought me so much joy. And I longed for that. And I had to confront myself saying, at what cost to myself, at what expense to myself will I continue to live a life that I don't love? And why am I doing this? I can even reframe it for you here. We get in life what we tolerate, meaning what we allow. So ask yourself this. Who are you living for and why are you doing this? Are you doing it for your parents? Maybe it's a family business. Maybe you have siblings that don't agree with some things that you want to do or don't want to do. Friends, maybe it's your children. Maybe it's your partner, your spouse. Is there a cultural or religious pressure to do or not do something? do you feel like you need to fill an expectation of others around you? And if you were to do something different, they might not approve. We've all been in these circumstances. We've all been in very similar situations. And you just need to decide, what is the bigger risk? What is the bigger, maybe even regret? For me, the bigger risk was one day looking back on my life and saying, I should have done things differently, at least tried. And I really wanted to get clear on my action plan to go after it because of what I wanted. So I made some massive life-altering decisions in 2021 for the sake of living the life I had been dreaming about. Was it easy? No. Was there times I was questioning if I was doing the right thing? Absolutely. Was there pain, sacrifice, needing to let go of even relationships, expectations that family, friends, and other people had on me? Yes, the answer is yes to all of that. But what kept keeping my anchor strong in the direction that I knew I wanted to go in was this life, my vision that I had for myself. And I knew that I needed to pursue that. Today, I'm speaking to you from my home in Costa Rica, overlooking the ocean in the warmth, and I have the mountains behind my house. And I can say that I'm living my life by my design. And the beautiful thing about once you're doing that is that at any time, any moment, I have the power, I have the ability to change it. If I want to go somewhere else, if I decide I'm good, I'm done with this place, I'm done with Costa Rica, and I want something else, I can then pivot and I can do that. Your decisions doesn't mean that it is a forever thing. There's always a way. There's always options. And rather than us putting roadblocks, putting excuses in front of them, we need to focus on the how so that we really can be living a life by our design. And my friend, I've said it before today, and I'm going to say it again. You deserve that life. You deserve a life that you love. You are worthy of that life that gives you complete joy to wake up to. And it's time for you to choose yourself, to choose a life that excites you, choose to stop tolerating mediocrity. You just need to decide what you want and then start taking aligned action that will bring you closer to fulfilling your desires, one step at a time. Thanks for tuning into the FreeThem CEO podcast. If you got value out of today's show, I would love for you to leave a review as it will help my show reach other people as well. You know what to do. Download this episode, click the like and subscribe button. If you feel like spreading more love, hop over to Instagram and share today's show in your stories. Remember to tag Shae Invidiata and the FreeThem CEO. My DMs are always open, so drop me a line. I'd love to connect. Until next time, keep owning your decisions to live a life of freedom. Live a life you love.